So this is it, guys. This is the video that I have been putting off for so long. The stimulant versus non-stimulant, Strattera, Ritalin, the ADHD video, the full circle, at least for me. To begin with, I want to give you a TLDR. So TLDR number one is yes, Ritalin works. Actually, it does exactly what it says on the tin, which is not a tin, it's paper, and it doesn't really say anything, but you know what I mean. It really does. Just calm down the ADHD mind. It's a stimulant and it does what it says in the studies. Number two, the Ritalin was not really the answer, surprisingly. It helped me find the answer, but I actually found out that it was a thought problem rather than a medication problem, and I will get more into that later. And number three, the most exciting one for me, is I'm finally opening up my coaching practice fully. I really feel comfortable that I can serve you one-on-one as well. If you don't want to wait for the specific video, you can shoot me an email, you can take a look at my webpage, and we will figure out if it would be useful for you to work with me one-on-one, or if I can just give you some helpful pointers. And so with that being said, let's get into the main topic of the video, and there will be three sections basically. One is, well, a brief overview of stimulant, non-stimulant, and non-medication treatment, or just help for ADHD issues. Number two is going to be about what finally helped me. And number three is going to be for those of you who are not really helped by my personal experience, and you might feel like you are the exception to the rule. You are somehow extra wrong, nothing will help you. Take it from me, I felt the same way. Thousands and probably millions of people have felt the same way, and believe me, there is hope. And it's not as hard as it seems right now. So, let's get to number one. Brief overview. So we have stimulants, which is methylphenidate like Ritalin for example, or amphetamines like Adderall. Then we have non-stimulant medication, which is primarily atomoxetine or Strattera, which I used to take about half a year ago. And then we have other approaches that don't involve any psychiatric medication at all. And of course combination. So stimulants, they work directly affecting your dopamine levels in your brain. So even the long-acting ones are basically just 12 to maximum of 16 hours. When you take them, they work. When you stop taking them, they stop working. They really directly affect the levels of dopamine in your brain. The idea is that for an ADHD mind, which is always in like 120% engine power all the time, it helps you engage the brakes. So you won't make the silly mistakes, you won't skip those beats, remembering things that you want to remember and not struggling with all these thoughts that just clutter up your mind all the time. Strattera basically should work the same way, but in a little bit of a different method, right? It works more like an antidepressant. It takes some time to build up and it takes some time to wind down. Usually it's like 3 to 6 weeks. Well, my experience with it, as you can see in my videos, was not perfect. Overall, it could actually be the answer, but you would need to do a lot of mindset work, I would say. But all in all, I think that mindset work should come first anyway, which gets me to the third part, which is actual non-medication. The most common type prescribed, so to say, is CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, and then all other things like coaching or ADHD specific coaching, or even deep psychoanalytical therapy is included here, or even something like, as Jordan Peterson would say, making a damn schedule. This is all non-medical approaches or non-psychiatric medication approaches to ADHD, and it is actually where I found my main answer, which brings me smoothly, I hope, to number two, which is what helped me. And what helped me is, well, actually it was both Ritalin and mindset work, because I believe that without Ritalin, I might not have been focused enough to read the books that I needed to read, to develop the practices that I needed, and to find the tools that now help me cope, or it's rather not coping, it's actually really understanding what's going on. And if you find this relatable, please consider dropping a like and a comment, especially a comment, because it may help other people, it will definitely help grow this channel, and you will have my undying thanks. And with that said, let's get back into the topic. You know, the main thing is that I thought that ADHD is somehow magically causing depression. But in fact, now I see that ADHD really, at its core, is just like what the analogy says. Like, it's just your brain going really, really fast all the time. And if your brain is going really, really fast and giving you all these negative emotions and thoughts all the time, well, yeah, that can lead to depression. And now for most of my life, or my adult life, I felt like there is nothing I can do about it, right? Because like ADHD is just causing me to fail. I can't succeed. But what I didn't realize was that I should not try to succeed in the same way as other people do. So the most simple example I can give is, let's say I want to write something on my computer, but my desk is messy. And I for somehow decided that I want to do it in a certain order. It's right to now focus on writing. Don't clean up the mess on your desk. But the mess on my desk was distracting me from writing. And by the time I was done forcing myself to write, I was so tired that I couldn't clean up the mess. And the next day the same thing. But in reality, there are of course many more factors that keep piling up. And if you just try to organize them forcefully, you try to force yourself into the precise timing that someone else on YouTube or in a book told you to do, it's not going to work. Because what you need to find is what works for you. And it sounds like a basic advice. But it really truly was the clicking moment for me when I realized, oh wait, why am I forcing myself to do one thing and then forcing myself to do the other thing, when if I didn't force myself at all, I could do those things effortlessly because I wanted to do them in a different order. It was basically my main problem. Of course, the other problem would be overwhelm, and I believe that we all do that a lot. Like, we feel like, oh, I'm depressed, so I should probably start doing some things to shoo the depression away, right? Like, I should start running, I should start meditating, I should start reading more self-development books, I should maybe take a hobby or a new business. And like, we get so overwhelmed that even with no ADHD, it would be too much. Like, what we are doing to prevent depression can overwhelm us and actually cause it in the long run. And so for number 3, if this doesn't really tell you anything, and I wouldn't be surprised because it's not easy to extract what is really useful for you personally from just someone else's personal story, I can tell you that I was really among the people that believe that, yeah, I am the exception. Nothing will ever work for me. And as it turns out, the answer was really, really simple, but I couldn't see it. You know, it's like the Bible parable with the splinter in your eye that you can't see, but you can see it in other people. It was kind of something like that. It usually is something that we could point out in others, but we can't point out in ourselves. And it was also one of the main reasons why I even started with coaching and thinking about it 2 years ago, and why now I really feel like this is the time to take it full time. If not, however, I will be looking forward to seeing you in the next video. I will try to update the schedule so it's a little bit less random. I will always tackle one particular topic. And yeah, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. If you reach this point, consider liking and maybe commenting. It could be useful for others. It will definitely be useful to grow the channel. Thank you and see you soon. Pete, signing out.